The words, "To interfere with a case is not to be countenanced. Any call to a line assistant or to a United States attorney from a political person relating to a case is to be cut and curtailed." Do you agree with this statement?
Senator, yes, I believe that the Justice Department must be independent and must act independently. The number one job is to enforce the law fairly and even-handedly, and that's what will be done if I am confirmed as the Attorney General.
So you will provide an assurance to every member of this committee that the Justice Department will only follow the facts and the law, and the White House will play no role in cases investigated or brought?
Senator, it will be my job, if confirmed as Attorney General, to make those decisions. Politics will not play a part. I've demonstrated.
This may look like a routine confirmation exchange, but it's actually a stress test for one of the most critical institutions in American democracy. What's really being tested here is whether the Justice Department remains an independent guardian of the law or becomes another political instrument of executive power. This moment forces the country to confront a fundamental question. Does authority exist to serve political loyalty or to defend the rule of law, even when it is inconvenient to those in power? The stakes go far beyond personalities or partisan advantage. They shape whether citizens can trust federal law enforcement to apply justice fairly without fear or favor. In this video, we'll break down how this exchange exposes the pressure points inside our systems, what genuine independence requires, and why accountability at this level determines the credibility of justice nationwide.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a good meeting this week. Thank you for that. And I appreciated your priorities on human trafficking that you mentioned today, that work, as well as fentanyl and some of your other prosecution experience. We had some similar backgrounds in doing that. And I want to talk about, first of all, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota, one of the premier offices in the country. This office has been instrumental in combating violent crime, dismantling street gangs, taking fentanyl off our streets, enforcing civil rights laws after George Floyd's murder, ensuring victims of fraud get justice. Do you agree that it should be a priority to support U.S. attorneys, frontline prosecutors, and case agents who work hard every single day on our streets?
Senator, I think that is one of the most important things in our country right now. And there are so many good men and women within the Justice Department throughout our country, as well as all the law enforcement agencies. Yes, they work very hard and they will be supported. I'm concerned about some of the proposals that could put cuts in the COPS program, burn JAG programs. I know you're familiar with those. Senator Murkowski and I lead the COPS reauthorization bill. Will you commit to continue to support those programs? Senator, I will read everything about those programs because that is a top priority of mine, and I would love to meet with you on that and Senator Murkowski to support law enforcement and those programs.
Thank you. Independence from political interference is vital to the legitimacy and success of the Department of Justice. I was honestly troubled by some of the answers to Senator Durbin's questions. We will continue that discussion, I'm sure, on the committee about the election. But I want to focus on the investigation, charging decisions. As a prosecutor, I'm sure you had this experience. I would get calls from people, hey, that's just a kid, give him a break. And I remember one answer I gave was, he's 40 years old, he's not a kid. But that kind of interference is attempted all the time. And one of my concerns here, whether it's a call from a friend, a corporate lobbyist, a White House, it has been very clear that the attorney generals of both parties have established clear policies to ensure the White House doesn't tamper with criminal investigations and prosecutions. At Attorney General Mike McCasey's hearing, he made clear that any attempt by the White House, and these are...
What just happened here is a reminder that the attorney general's first obligation is to the Constitution, not to political loyalty. This matters because once the Justice Department bends to power, it stops being a system of law and becomes a system of permission. The consequence of getting this wrong isn't just bad policy. It erodes public trust and signals to future administrations that pressure and influence are acceptable tools. That path leads to a justice system that serves leaders instead of citizens.
The words, "To interfere with a case is not to be countenanced. Any call to a line assistant or to a United States attorney from a political person relating to a case is to be cut and curtailed." Do you agree with this statement?
Senator, yes, I believe that the Justice Department must be independent and must
act independently, the number one job is to enforce the law fairly and even-handedly, and that's what will be done if I am confirmed as the Attorney General.
So you will provide an assurance to every member of this committee that the Justice Department will only follow the facts and the law, and the White House will play no role in cases investigated or brought?
Senator, it will be my job, if confirmed as Attorney General, to make those decisions. Politics will not play a part. I've demonstrated.
This exchange establishes a public record of accountability. When a nominee promises independence under oath, that statement becomes more than rhetoric. It becomes a standard she must be measured against. The significance is constitutional. Once independence is affirmed, any deviation becomes a breach of public trust, not just political disagreement. This isn't theater. It's creating enforceable expectations for how justice operates under pressure.
That my entire career as a prosecutor, as Attorney General, and I will continue to do that if you confirm me as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America.
In an earlier question, with some of my colleagues talked about China and the risk, yet you have a nominee from this incoming administration, Kash Patel, the pick to head the FBI, have serious concerns about him, has referred to the FBI's Intel Division, which is responsible for protecting us from foreign adversaries like China, as, quote, the biggest problem the FBI has had, and he said that he wants to, quote, break that component out of the FBI. Do you agree?
I have not seen those comments from Mr. Patel, and we can to protect our country. Again, Mr. Patel would fall under me and the Department of Justice, and I will ensure that all laws are followed, and so will he.
Okay.
What we see here is a deeper challenge. Independence doesn't only mean resisting interference, it means being strong enough to manage powerful agencies without letting them drift into ideological agendas. This matters because leadership isn't symbolic. It shapes national security, civil liberties, and public confidence. The downstream effect is clear. If the Attorney General cannot firmly define boundaries, agencies begin defining them on their own.
There are many decisions made by the FBI director, having seen a number of them do their work, that can be made. While I agree you would be the boss of Kash Patel, I'm not sure that you would be able to intervene with every decision or position that he had or know what he's doing. So let's continue. Do you agree it is the duty of the Justice Department to defend the laws Congress passes? And will you commit to do even when the president may disagree with an act campaigned against its passage or called for its repeal? President Reagan's AG, William French Smith, said the department policy was the department has the duty to defend an act of Congress whenever a reasonable argument can be made in its support. So I'm specifically referring to the 2022 law that I long led that we passed to empower Medicare to negotiate drug prices, major savings for seniors. Will you commit to defend the law against the lawsuits from Big Pharma?
Senator, I was involved in Big Pharma cases when I was Attorney General of the state of Florida, and I will commit to protect the laws of the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. That would also, same question, with the Supreme Court is going to be hearing a challenge to the Affordable Care Act's coverage of preventative services. And despite the fact that you twice joined suits to have the entire Affordable Care Act invalidated, will you commit to defending this law?
Yeah, I believe this is very different. It's a very isolated, it's different. It's not the entire Affordable Care Act, but I will, it's pending litigation, of course, within the department.
Since the 1990s, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act has protected patients, providers, and facilities that provide reproductive
This moment matters
health
because
services.
it reinforces
Will you
a
commit to
simple
continuing to
democratic
enforce
principle.
the FACE Act?
Laws are not optional based on political preference. The Justice Department is not a campaign arm. It is an enforcement institution. When the Attorney General commits to defending legislation, it signals stability, respect for separation of powers, and reliability in governance. The consequence is national predictability. Citizens and institutions can trust that laws once passed will be upheld.
To address violence and threats against those providing reproductive health care services.
Senator, the FACE Act not only protects abortion clinics, but it also protects pregnancy centers and people going for counseling. The law should be applied even-handedly. Yes, Senator.
So you'll uphold the enforcement of that law?
I'll uphold the enforcement of the law, Senator.
Okay, and I will ask my antitrust questions in the next round. We had a good discussion about that, and I do appreciate the nominee that has been put in place for the antitrust division, and there's incredibly important work that has to be done in that division. So
Gail
thank
Slater
you.
is remarkable. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank all of my colleagues for abiding by the 7-minute rule.
This hearing wasn't just about one nominee. It was a referendum on whether the Justice Department will serve the Constitution or the presidency. Independence, accountability, and fairness are not abstract ideals. They are the foundation of democratic legitimacy. When the nation's top law enforcement officer commits to impartiality, the system gains strength. When that promise is broken, the damage echoes through every courtroom and every citizen's belief in justice. What happens next will determine whether power respects the law or expects the law to bow to power. And that choice defines the future of democratic integrity in America. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA.